Hey, what's up, everybody? Sorry it's taken so long for me to upload, but I've been sick and I'm still not all better, but I'm well enough to play this game. It's a brand new game called Chrono. It's going to be do by my friend Sketch. Uh, he is quite possibly leading me down the path of no return in visual novels. I don't know much about this game. Apparently, this is one of the characters. But I don't want to watch that. Anyway, I don't know much about this game other than it's like a guy who has a power with time and stuff, and yeah, well, let's cross our fingers and hope there's no nudity in this one, because that's the thing I can't put on YouTube. July, summertime. On that day, standing on the rooftop, the one place in all the school reaching farthest closest to the sky, I knew that I would soon experience my first broken heart. You don't need a reason to fall in love, right? That's what you said to me on the first day we met. I smiled, trying to quell the anxiety so readily apparent on the face of my upperclassman, Mio Suzuki. Yep, you totally did. You were completely serious about it, too. Mia was still as anxious as ever, but given her retort, I could definitely tell she had grown a little more courageous. Well, I definitely remember it. I quietly watched Mia as she dropped her shoulders in dejection. That's one thing I can't ever forget. In a very short time, this girl was going to retry confessing her feelings to someone she loved, and if all were to go smoothly, I'd helped her all along the way. But somehow I still couldn't get excited at the prospect of her success. Well, this is a weird opening. I glanced up at the sky, then I returned my gaze to the iron door leading from the school building. At that moment, I thought crossed my mind, perhaps I don't want that door to ever open. You don't need a reason to fall in love. I know what you meant by that now, but I actually do have a reason. Mio asked me, her face of complete seriousness. She looked too serious, in fact. I wondered if she ever came to realize my feelings for her, after all the time we spent together. I wondered if she'd ever realized what feelings had blossomed within her own heart. At that exact moment, the door opened. The person we were waiting for, Shuji Ishida, finally showed up. He immediately furrowed his brow at the heat and humidity. Looking at us, he gently called out to Mio first. I quietly watched them talk. A whole week. Everything happened in just 1 week, huh? No, never mind that now. I don't need to be here anymore. I shouldn't be here anymore. I don't want to be here anymore. At that moment, Mio seemed to pick up on what I was thinking, so she turned back to Shuji for a moment. Shuji stepped back so that Mio could talk to me. What's wrong? Mio respectfully bowed to me. I didn't do anything, really. Her voice trailed off in mid-sentence. It wasn't that she was stuttering or hesitating. She simply looked at me with innocence in her eyes, waiting for my answer to an unspoken question. I took her outstretched hand in mine. Well, that was a weird opening. Apparently we helped Miu fall for Shuji. Now then, I should apologize for the interruption here, but this is actually a finale to a long sequence of events which occurred in the first week of summer. Oh, that would be why it's weird. The observant reader can probably already guess what's happening, but I feel like I should give the simple explanation. Okay, we're breaking a third wall in this one. I had been helping my upperclassman Miu Suzuki work up the courage to confess her feelings to my best friend Shuji Itsuda, and this was her second attempt at doing so. Over the course of 1 week, I helped counsel her to overcome her social anxiety so she wouldn't blow her second chance at it. As a result, I found myself drawn in by Miu's honest, good-natured disposition, and Miu also became more conscious of me as someone of the opposite gender. With the benefit of hindsight, I can only think about how cliched and problematic a situation this was. But let's get serious here. This encounter on the roof is the absolute moment of truth. At the 11th hour, do I take Miu's hand, or do I encourage her to do this? The world diverges at that point. That much is a given. And on that note, there's one other detail you should know. I am able to rewind time by 5 minutes just as easily as snapping my fingers. Well, that's kind of nice to have. But no matter how many times I turn back the clock, I can never undo a real decision I've made. The real problem with time travel is you can never go back in time far enough to trace the workings of your own heart. Not like it matters, I guess. I was just trying to be serious for a second there, but I'm basically just a happy-go-lucky sort of guy. I've taken quite a bit of flack from others because I never really take anything seriously. This story isn't one with any overly bleak, serious endings to speak of either, so don't worry about your own choices too much. But first of all, I'll give you more information to spur on your choices. Allow me to turn back time by a week, so that you may have a better idea of what kind of people Miu, Shuji, and I are. 1 week ago, the day it all started. The day Miu fell from this very rooftop. What? She fell from rooftop? That must have sucked. It was lunchtime in the classroom. The game is not moving forward. Oh, I must have hit the button. It was lunchtime in the classroom. I was reading a book since I'd already finished eating, then Suji came over and started talking to me. Huh? My name is Rei Sawaratari, though my nickname is Sanzui. An alternate reading of the kanji in my name. I held up the book for Suji to see. The Door into Summer. I don't want to hear that from some guy who always engrossed in light novels. Right back at you, buddy. By the way, a girl next to me suddenly screamed. I heard the sound of plastic hitting the ground before I could turn around in time to see what was happening. A female classmate of mine, Makoto Jununchi, looked at the lunchbox of hers, which had clattered to the floor, and sighed in exasperation. Ah, well, I couldn't have done anything. Makoto apologized, her eyes welling up with tears. Then she crouched down and tried to slip a piece of blue sleeve paper under the overturned lunchbox, seemingly trying as hard as she could to pick it all up without making a mess. I stood idly by, watching her. Girls never pack much in their lunches, do they? So the only thing I'm paying attention to? Shuji. Who do you think I am? If I really am a complete horn dog in this game, I'm not gonna be happy about it. I can't see her panties from this angle, but I'm happy to just see her skirt flapping against her legs. Yep, I'm not gonna like this guy. Hopefully she hadn't overheard our stupid bantering. I mean, she was already pretty distraught. The air conditioning was running, but I could tell that the smell would linger in the air. Besides, I'm sure she didn't want to take that dirty lunchbox home either. That's a real shame, isn't it? Shuji seemed surprised to hear me say that. There's something I need to do anyway, so it's not a big deal. I stood up, took out my pocket watch and checked the time. 12:46. I'd been goofing around a bit, so now there were only 3 minutes left. No, more like 2. Verifying my time limit, I walked over to Makoto. Makoto, Normally we don't even greet each other in the hallways, so of course she would be a little confused. I'm not big on my family name. Just call me by my first name. That's right. Regarding what I was about to do, I knew full well it wouldn't cause any problems for me, but I could still feel my cheeks burning. This probably isn't the best time, but would you go out with me if I told you that I liked you? A blank expression. The other students who heard me were also left speechless. That's right, a confession. There was an immediate uproar in the room. Wow, he's so straightforward. What the heck? Even people in the hallway were looking in to see what the big fuss was about. I know it's really sad. From your reaction, I suppose it's not completely out of the question? She laughed awkwardly as her cheeks blushed rosy red. No worries. I don't mind if you can't give me an answer right now. I checked the time on my pocket watch again. 12:48. It's about time. Well, anyway, farewell. Be careful with your lunchbox from now on. Though I guess there isn't much point in lecturing you about it now. I ignored her question, smiled, and waved my hand. Bye-bye. Then I took the pocket watch in my hand and hurled it to the ground. The world before me shattered. What? Oh, intro time. Maybe. No, this doesn't look like an intro. There's no music. I looked up at Shuji, who was right next to me. So 5 minutes ago was right about here then. I cut it pretty close there. Huh? Nothing, just talking to myself. This time I gave Shuji the book without telling him the title and stood up from my seat. Just a sec. I won't be long. Should be about 10 seconds from now. I casually strolled over by where Makoto was sitting. She was eating lunch with another girl, but she was more focused on the conversation than her food. Then, while she wasn't looking, she tried to reach for her black tea, and her elbow bumped against her lunchbox on the table's end. The lunchbox nearly fell off the table, but I was right there to grab it before it fell. Makoto stood up from her seat, clearly surprised at everything that had just occurred. That was close. Don't worry about it. Also, I'm not big on my family names, so just call me by my first name. That's right. Affection level up! I returned to my seat, feeling confident, or feeling content. Behind me, the other girls in the room were excitedly gossiping about Makoto. I wouldn't say that. It's just that it would have really sucked if she'd actually dropped her lunchbox. I just had a hunch. Shuji put my book back down on the desk. He seemed to still be processing what just happened.
ところでこれ、夏への扉ってタイムスリップの話だよな。
Seems like it. Though I only just started reading it, so I'm not totally sure yet.
タイムスリップできたら最強だよな。
It would depend on how far back in time you can go, though. For example, what would you do if you could only go back 5 minutes once an hour?
5分だけ?
Yeah, just 5 minutes.
そりゃ短いな。それだとあんまり大したことはできそうにないぞ。
You could stop someone from dropping their lunchbox, though.
はは
You could make as much money off lottery tickets as you wanted, too. And you can confess your feelings to a cute girl to see how she takes it. Even if she turns it down, you could just rewind time and start over.
なるほど。お前、バカなこと考えてるな。
If you know any other good ways to use that kind of power, I'd like to hear them.
暇すぎたら考えとくよ。
Suji gave me an apathetic sort of laugh, and then waddled back over to his seat. I guess he just wanted to know what book I was reading, since he never really sees me reading much of anything. He never really takes me seriously, anyway. Just talking to myself again. Holding the book under my arm, I glanced at the notepad app on my smartphone. The note I'd opened was a list containing the names of all the cute girls in our school that had taken a liking to. I wrote good chemistry next to Makoto Jonuchi's name on the list. Not bad at all. Satisfied with that, I pulled out my pocket watch. This antique watch was passed down to me from my grandfather, and it's the source of this power I have. The power to rewind time by 5 minutes. It's a strangely limited power, but with a little creativity on my part, there's plenty of opportunities to make good use of it. No matter what, I have to meet the girl of my dreams. I have the power to look ahead in my life and start over when I need to, all thanks to this pocket watch. After all, I've already died once. He's already died once. How did that go? It was a few days earlier on Sunday. I live in a room in the annex of a traditionally styled house, which does not have air conditioning. The heat wasn't bothering me so much as the humidity, so I was considering going to cool off in a convenience store or bookstore for a bit, but then my father called for me. He told me he was cleaning out the garage when he found something my grandfather used to own and had decided to give it to me. It was, of course, the pocket watch. Considering I had already a smartphone, it was pretty useless, but I decided to keep it because it looked interesting. Then I left for the store. Soon after I left the house, I noticed something odd about the watch. The time it showed was 5 minutes behind the time on my smartphone. I tried to adjust it, but it wouldn't work. For a moment I wondered if it was broken from being in storage for so long, but the second hand was definitely still ticking away. What the heck? Do I have to take this thing apart to fix it? Getting it repaired professionally would be too much of a pain. I didn't have that kind of money. I figured I could try to see if I could do anything myself, so I kept tinkering with it. Lesson learned. Just like you shouldn't cross the street while playing with your phone, you shouldn't do it while playing with a watch either. Lesson learned. Even if the crosswalk light is green, you should always look both ways before crossing the street. That's how he died. But how is he alive? I looked up to verify the pedestrian crossing light was green. It was. So I continued walking normally while I filled up with the watch. And a car horn. Squealing of brakes. Huh? They were both familiar sounds, but I had never heard them within such close proximity before. Looking up, I saw a truck hurtling towards me, and I instantly froze. I'm dead. I'm 100% grade A cadaver material. I might be able to survive being hit by a car, but the size and speed of a truck are more than enough to end a person's life in an instant. I'm dead. I don't even have a girlfriend, so I'm going to die a sorry virgin. Oh, that's how he came back to life. I already know. They were my final moments. And yet, that stupid worry was the last thing to go through my mind before my butt would. I had nowhere to run. Even if it was pointless, my hands flew up in front of me on instinct in an attempt to shield myself. The pocket watch flew out of my hand and tumbled through the air. My eyes were tightly closed, but I could feel the pressure of the truck barreling toward me through my skin. This is the worst. Game over, man. Game over. I clenched my teeth, hoping the end wouldn't be too painful. A small metallic sound rang out. It must have been the pocket watch smashing against the truck, almost as if the universe were demonstrating how easily the truck could crush my body. And then nothing happened. The deafening silence was broken only by the cries of the cicadas. I could sense that the sound of the truck had disappeared, and the noise from the station with it as well. Huh? I fearfully opened my eyes. Somehow I was back in front of my house. It was once again a peaceful and hot Sunday afternoon, and I was standing there alone in stupor. Huh? What just happened? I whipped my head back and forth to verify I was still alive, but I didn't have any injuries to show. The only remnant from the ordeal was a cold sweat running down my spine. What happened to the truck? And why am I back in front of my house? Then I saw my fingers were clenched around something. It was the pocket watch that had slipped out of my hand. I also noticed that somehow the minute hand had wound back, and the time it displayed was 5 minutes earlier than it had shown when I last looked at it. Huh. Was the heat playing tricks with my imagination? Though I was talking to myself, I was quite surprised to hear a voice responding. There didn't seem to be anybody around, but then I noticed something out of the corner of my eye, and I turned my gaze upward. Against the backdrop of the clear blue summer sky hovering in the air like a goldfish swimming in a bowl, there was a woman. She wore a revealing dress whose hem gently fluttered in the breeze like a butterfly's wings. Are you a ghost? Huh? The ghost's piercing gaze upon me suddenly showed a hint of confusion. Me? I'm Rei Sawatari. Her glance flitted to and fro. She seemed almost as confused as me. It's June, though it'll be July soon. 2015. Maybe you understand, but I'm still pretty lost here. What? You're not a ghost? Everything about you looks like a ghost or spirit or something. I mean, you gave me a big introduction as Crow whatever, but I'm getting a real traditionalist kind of vibe from you. Still, that getup's kind of hot, so I can't complain about that. Good job. The ghost stared me down, but I was finally starting to calm down and think about what had happened. I still didn't quite understand, but even if I didn't know the exact reasons behind it all, I understood this much. My grandfather's pocket watch had some kind of special power. Breaking the watch caused me to go back 5 minutes in time. That's how I ended up back in front of my house. 5 minutes before, I would have been hit by the truck. It was almost too easy an explanation to believe, but if it saved my life, then I can't complain. It saved my life. I died? I felt goosebumps to the sweat on my skin. A sharp chill ran down my spine, akin to someone pouring a blue Hawaii on the rocks down the back of my shirt. If I hadn't been carrying this pocket watch with me, I would have undeniably been killed back there. You would think life always goes peacefully for everyone, but really, people dying that way isn't exactly uncommon. Would a pigeon caught in a bombing raid even have anything resembling a face left? I pushed those intrusive thoughts away, for there were more important things which had to be said. Crow, can I only use the power to rewind time once?
いや、1時間に1回だが何度でも使えるぞ。あと、我が輩の名前を黒と短縮するな。
And another thing. I can't go back any further than 5 minutes, right?
そうじゃ。
So my grandfather used to own this watch, huh?
祖父か曽祖父なのかは知らないが、お主と名字が同じだから血縁のものだろうな。
Having verified everything with her, I glanced back at my house. It's a huge mansion. I don't want to come off as a braggart here, but my family is unusually ridiculously wealthy. This mansion was built back in my grandfather's era, and it became a sort of headquarters for a solitary corporation, which would go on to be one of the most powerful in the nation. But that's not the whole story. He actually had quite an ace up his sleeve. I was only a kid when he passed away, but I do remember that he was always brimming with confidence, almost as if he could do no wrong. I get it now. Gramps, it wasn't just an ace up your sleeve. You were cheating, weren't you?
何が詐欺なのか知らんが、ここは沢渡の家のままか?
Crow asked me, having seen the house as well. Yeah, it is.
あの男も金なんてつまらんものにこだわる俗物だったが、人間なんてそんなものか。
She's not that right. In spite of my family's obscene wealth, they did try to raise me like a normal child. Learning how to be responsible with money would build character, they said. Currently, they provide me with a monthly allowance of just 3,000 yen. In return, they currently leave me to my own devices when it comes to day-to-day life. But I'm just delaying the inevitable. As the eldest son of the Salvatore family, I will eventually lose the right to choose my own way. As the third-generation successor, I'm expected to be a model employee who will one day speak for the entire company. I never want to change my destiny, though. I didn't have any other dreams or aspirations, and I'd always known that my future was set in stone anyway. However, I had just had a brush with death. Prior to that experience, I had not truly understood what it meant to be alive.
さて、新しい主人。お主は我が輩に何を望む?
As if she'd read my mind, Crow gave me a serious expression while asking a serious question of me. I had clenched my fist without realizing it. I'm not obsessed with money like my grandfather was.
おう、いい心がけじゃな。
I will use this power to make my daily life more fun, and most importantly of all, I can finally get a girlfriend and graduate from my status as a virgin.
たわけ、超俗物。
That was my first encounter with Crow, and the power of Chrono's clock. Weird.
まったく、バカは死んでも治らないとはよく言うが、盛りのついたけだものも変わらんの。
What's all this about? I wasn't expecting to see you at school. After classes let out, Crow was waiting for me outside the school building. One important thing of note here, I'm the only person able to see or hear Crow. And she's not a tangible presence either, so I found myself attracting the stink eye from people around me as I greeted her.
昼頃に時計の力を使ったであろう。一体何かと思ってな。
It wasn't anything important.
お主の緩んだ顔を見ていれば、大したことに時計の力を使ったとは思わんよ。また女子を口説くことばかり考えていたのだろう。童貞。
I'm not a...
我が輩と会った時に 全力で宣言しただろうが。この童貞、童貞、童貞。
I couldn't deny what she was saying, since I had to go and open my big, fat mouth that time. Anyway, you shouldn't be saying virgin over and over again with the way you're dressed. You're making me kind of nervous here.
なんだ？我が輩にまで欲情しておるのか？理性と知性に期待はしていなかったが、節操まで失ったか。
Now look here. Don't you dare underestimate a growing boy like me. I could use you to jerk off later if I wanted.
やれるものならやってみろ。
While we were bantering back and forth like that, it happened. I was already looking up since Crow was floating off the ground. The shadow of something falling caught my eye. It was a person. A girl was falling from the sky. Huh? This should have been obvious, but her descent did not miraculously cease the further she fell. Her body smashed into the ground. The students nearby all screamed in horror.
身投げか？
Hearing Crow's disinterested voice finally snapped me out of my haze. A suicide. Now just a minute. I grabbed my pocket watch and threw it against the pavement. Five minutes earlier, in the classroom, I was back in the homeroom again. Classes had already ended, so it was practically deserted. It seemed like I'd safely rewound time to just before anything happened. What the heck was that? Right out of nowhere.
どうしたご主人？急に時間を戻して。
Somebody fell to their death.
だからどうした？
Considering that she doesn't really think the same way that humans do, maybe Crow doesn't feel that a human dying is something to get worked up about. Wait, this isn't the time to argue over that. I didn't see exactly where the girl had fallen from, but she must have been up on the roof somewhere. Crow, go look on the roof for me.
面倒だな。
With reluctance, she ascended through the ceiling of the classroom and disappeared. I can't fly or pass her walls like she can, so I had to take the long way upstairs. There are only a few places where the roof can be accessed, and none of them are close by. I counted down the minutes as I ran. 1, 2, 3. I was in the classroom for about 1 minute, and I had been running for at least 2 minutes. Worst case scenario, I might have already lost 4 minutes. Knowing I only had 1 minute left, I kept running, dripping with sweat, until I finally reached the door to the roof and threw it open. Just as I had expected, I was not alone on the hot, humid rooftop. Aside from Crow, 2 other people stood there. 2 people? It wasn't a suicide? My heart pounding uncontrollably, I yelled to the person I recognized, as if there was some sort of suspense movie. Shuji! Did you kill her?
うるさいぞバカ。なんだその古臭いミステリー小説のタイトルみたいな叫びは。
Shuji was as usual abrasive self. Hearing him joking around like that threw me off for a moment. Now what? I turned to Crow, still wondering what had all happened.
我が輩にもよくわからん。この二人、お主が来るまで黙ってにらめっこしていただけだ。
Crow just shrugged her bare shoulders. The bright sun really did make her look more enticing. I then turned to the young girl whom I had seen fall from the roof a moment ago. She was so surprised at my sudden entrance that she turned bright red and stopped speaking altogether, like a maiden who had lost her voice. She was a cute little girl, probably a first year. Yeah, definitely a cutie. I scratched my head, wondering why I never checked out any of the first year girls before. What exactly is going on here?
知らねえよ。俺は屋上に呼び出されただけで、そこにお前が飛び込んできたんだ。
Oh, did this girl try to assassinate you? You must have thrown her off the roof in self-defense, right?
山水の頭がおかしいのは知ってるが、
Who would come up and say that when you know it was back in time? This is poor writing. Poor writing. Hate it. Because you have a big fat mouth. Hasn't anyone ever told you that?
俺は口が悪いんじゃない。嘘が嫌いなだけだ。
Or so Shuji says. Though he's technically right, he never lies. He always says exactly what he's thinking with as much bluntness as possible, no matter the circumstances. See what I mean? If you don't watch your mouth with people, before you know it, your life's going to end up like an 80% clearance sale on grudges.
残りの 20% はなんだ？
You're asking me?
人と話すときくらい脳みそを使え。
Running. No, wait. Now we're just talking the same way we always do.
よく考えろ、サンズイ。男に屋上に呼び出されたら焼きを入れられるかもしれないけど、女なら告白だろ。
Haha, like that ever happened. Hearing Suji's words, the girl suddenly froze in horror. Man, that's quite a blatant reaction. Huh? Did I come at a bad time?
間違いねえな。
Guess so. So why did this girl fall from the roof if she was in the situation 5 minutes before it happened? Did she try to confess but ended up being rejected and heartbroken? Or was it just a freak accident that she avoided this time because I showed up? I really wanted to get out of here, but knowing that what I saw happen before, I couldn't move at all. The girl's expression was almost painful. She burst into tears as she ran away. She was running to get out of there. Clearly she couldn't handle the stress of the situation. But she was overwhelmed with emotion and she was trying to run with her eyes nearly closed, so she actually dashed off in the wrong direction towards the edge. That's what it was! It all happened too fast for Shuji to react, but I moved a lot quicker because I knew what happened. She would have gotten nervous or ran off like that, whether I had been there or not. The girl was moving slowly enough that I was able to reach out and grab her by the arm with little effort before she could fall.
おい、サンズイ、大丈夫か？
My arms are shaking like crazy.
どさくさでセクハラしてるんじゃねえよ。
Despite his complaining, Shuji heaved a sigh of relief.
それにしても、ビビった。心臓に悪い。
Yeah, of course. Watching someone nearly fall to the death is scary enough to cause 3 or 4 heart
お前は
attacks.
心臓がいくつあるんだよ。
No.
どのみち致命傷じゃねえか。
Hearing her voice, I suddenly realized the girl was trembling and her eyes full of tears. She was practically bawling. I'm the one who wants to cry here. I want to go back in time and handle the situation a little better. But since I could only use it once an hour, that wasn't
おい、
enough.
サンズイ。
Yeah, no, wait. When Suji started walking over, I held up my hand and motioned for him to stop. The girl tried to confess her feelings and then got so embarrassed she nearly fell to her death. There are still loose ends left unresolved, and I couldn't resolve them with Suji still here. Suji, you should go back to class.
そうはいかないだろ。
Please, just do it. She won't calm down until you leave.
参ったな。
Shuji looked at the distraught girl once again and sighed.
わかった。だけどサンズイ、泣いてる子に変なことするなよ。
What do you think I am?
むっつり変態の何事にも真面目になれないすかした野郎だろうが。
You know me well then. I returned to side with one of my own. Just go before this gets more complicated.
もう十分に面倒だけどな。
Shuji just had to get that last word in before he left. At the same time, Crow floated down to where we were standing without a care in the world.
何をしているのだ、お主は。
I couldn't answer Crow with the girl next to me, but her question was a valid one. What on earth was I doing anyway? There's a lot of reading in this. So much reading. I gave the girl a moment to calm down before I said anything else to her. Although Crow came over to see what was happening, she soon got bored and floated away like a balloon when I wouldn't talk to her. When Crow doesn't have anything to do, she likes to sit all day on the monorail that goes around the city, or sometimes just goes for leisurely strolls through the atmosphere. But putting that aside, it's freaking hot. I wipe the sweat off my brow with the back of my hand. The rooftop is open to students, but most people don't go there during the summer and winter. They're generally just too lazy to leave the air-conditioned classrooms. Even the students who think of eating lunch outside for a change of pace would prefer eating in the shade of the courtyard over the hot rooftop. I turned my attention back to the girl who was looking up at me. She looked quite confused, but at least she had calmed down. Oh, I guess you don't know who I am at all. Let me introduce myself. I was just passing through when I saw you with my classmate Shuji. We were both second years, and my name is Ray.
レイ先輩。名字は。
Just call me Ray. I'm not big on my last name.
ごめんなさい。私は1年の鈴木美優です。ごめんなさい。私、上がり症で、特に男の人が苦手で。ごめんなさい。
You don't have to keep apologizing.
はい、すみません。
I said you don't have to keep apologizing.
申し訳ございません。
How many times are you going to apologize?
そうなんですか？
You really think I'm that scary?
ごめんなさい。
Ah, she's come full circle. This girl must know how integral repetition is to the chemistry of a good comedy duo without even realizing it. Surely if someone took her under their wing, she could become famous. Whoa, you've got it all wrong. I'm not trying to start a comedy duo here. Forget it. Just talking to myself. Though I have a feeling that your destiny might be waiting for you in Kansai.
関西？
Her eyes widened with disbelief. She clearly didn't know what I was talking about. Well, I guess that would confuse anyone. I tried to calm her down by telling a bunch of dumb jokes, but it was a pain to see that she was incredibly nervous about talking to someone she didn't know. Well, anyway, let's sit down and talk. I don't really think we should stand and talk, considering what happened earlier.
は
She sat down, like I told her. There we go. I was just glad she was cooperating with me. I sat on the ground with her, not taking my eyes off her. No, it's nothing. Just so I could see her panties. Light green, huh? Plain white ones aren't bad either. But I like the mature sort of impression different colors have. It was just a side benefit though, so I didn't point it out. There certainly wasn't any reason to. This is a little hard for me to explain, so let me just confirm a few things. So, you tried to tell Shuji how you felt, but you were too nervous to actually do it, and then I barged in on you guys at the worst possible time, right?
い。本当にその通りです。緊張すると頭がぐるぐるしちゃって何もできなくなっちゃって。
Mio looked terribly discouraged about the whole thing. Man, what a bummer. I wonder what to do next. After I rewound time to save her from that fall, my work here was pretty much done. But to Mio, I looked like some weird upperclassman who came in and messed everything up right when she was trying to confess her feelings. She wouldn't believe me if I told her the truth. And besides, my time rewinding ability wasn't something I could talk to others about in earnest. Such is the most troublesome aspect of time travel. So you were trying to confess after all, huh? Well, it's just really impressive that you worked up the courage to try.
そんなことありません。
I'm not joking or flattering you here. I wish I had a girlfriend too, but I've never been brave enough to confess my feelings to someone. I really think that's amazing. That said, I'm kind of curious. What do you like about Shuji?
どこって、それは、
She was so nervous. We couldn't hold much of a conversation. Maybe we should leave the conversation on a little more then. He's a good chap, you know? He may be a bit of an otaku, and sometimes he can be a loudmouth who says whatever he pleases, but he can be reliable and honest when you least expect it. So I think he'd make any girlfriend of his happy.
詳しいんですね。
Don't tell him I said this, but he's my pal. I laughed, because I would never say that if he was around. Even after Shuji learned that I was the successor of the reins of a major corporation, that didn't change how he'd carry on with me like any other guy. That was proof that he saw me as my own person and not as a Sawatari, and I was grateful for that.
私は実は石田先輩のことは全然詳しくないんです。
Huh? Didn't you try to confess to him?
この前の急な雨の日、傘を忘れて困ってる私に石田先輩が自分の傘を貸してくれて、それで。
You're joking, right? It was hard to believe that someone could fall in love because of that.
でも人を好きになるのに理由って必要なんですか？
That was the first time I heard Mio speak so clearly. Her eyes were serious, and I knew that those words held some significance to her. I didn't know how to respond. I envied her for her clear intent and determination, things which I never had. There are plenty of girls who I think are cute, but I'd never seriously tried to confess to a girl before, disregarding all the times I used to use the watch. Can I ask you one more question?
はい、どうぞ。
If you had just one chance to turn back time and relive your life from any point in the past, how far back would you turn the hands of time?
やり直す。
It was a sudden question, but Mio seriously considered her answer before responding. Then she gave a wry smile.
さっきの告白の前って言いたいですけど、多分私は私にしかなれないだろうから今のままでいいです。
Alright, I've lost. I raise my hands in surrender.
もっけ？
I'm sorry I screwed up your confession like that. Since I'm Shuji's friend, I'd like to make it up to you. I could tell you anything you want to know about him. I'll try to help you out with your anxiety too. Hopefully I can at least help you avoid falling off any more roofs in embarrassment. There's no guarantee I'll be there to save you next time.
落ちる？
Never mind that. Of course, I'd like to help you, but only if you want us to help. You know, I know we're practically strangers, so I don't want to pry or anything. Apparently she didn't think that she had a choice in the matter, judging from her reaction there. I saw the tension in her shoulders dissipate as she let out a big sigh.
石田先輩のことを知ってる人が手伝ってくれるのはすごく助かります。
I admire your honesty. We were finally having a real conversation. Apparently she didn't mind me meddling with her affairs either. You'll probably want to talk to him soon, like tomorrow or something. I'll look into things for you.
私からも一つ聞いていいですか？
Huh.
石田先輩には彼女がいるんでしょうか？
No, you don't.
よかった。
You tried to ask him out without even checking if he had a girlfriend first? That was pretty surprising.
だって勢いよく行けば大丈夫かなって心が決まっちゃったんですもん。
Mio's indignance looked strangely adorable. Shy yet courageous, socially anxious yet craving social contact. In spite of these ostensible contradictions, perhaps her timid appearance really did conceal a strong, determined sense of will. So, what would happen if I called Suji up here again tomorrow so you could tell him how you feel? Do you think it would go well?
今日の失敗を思い出してさらにひどいことになる気がします。
In that case, I'd have to agree. She probably couldn't do it. By the way, I don't have it myself, so I don't really understand what it's like to have social anxiety. What would you say it feels like?
頭ではああしようこうしようって思ってるのにやってることや言ってることが全然別のことになっちゃうんです。それがさらにプレッシャーになってとん んどん状況が悪くなって。
I guess it would be pretty tough to explain.
もし協力していただけるなら、レイ先輩と石田先輩は同じ上級生ですし、こうやって話してるうちになれるかもしれないです。
She seemed to lack confidence at first glance, but it actually wasn't that hard for her to talk about herself. That'd be the easiest method, but I guess it feels kind of arbitrary. I don't know if just talking would really help you or not.
とりあえず勢いに任せて当たって砕けろというのが私の方針なんですけど。
I think you should have a clear understanding of your personality and objective, though. Fools rush in where angels fear to tread, and the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
レイ先輩は勢いに任せたりしないんですか？
I like to plan things out, and I like ending up throwing the plan away in the end even more.
旗迷惑だって周りから言われませんか？
For such a shy girl, you're certainly not one to mince words. Seems like she'd be perfect for Shuji in that respect, doesn't it? Seriously, you need to stop apologizing. But you're cute, so I suppose I can forgive you. Cute girls and handsome men are a privileged lot after all. Anyway, I think this should do.
ちょうどいい？
You said you wanted to talk to me so you can get used to it, but we shouldn't have aimless discussions. We need to get some kind of goal for our conversations if your practice is going to be really effective.
なるほど。つまり何かルールを作るってことですね。確かになんとなく雑談してるだけだと初対面の先輩後輩の溝を埋めるだけで何週間もかかっちゃいそうですよね。
I was just speaking my mind there. I'm surprised you caught on so quickly.
そんな具体的にどうするかまでは思いついていませんし。
Firstly, since you want to open up to people more, I think we should first do something that's mutually embarrassing for you and me both.
自信はないですけど、努力はします。
How about doing stand-up comedy in front of the whole class?
冗談ですよね。
I think it would give you more courage.
それはそうでしょうけど。
Well, yeah, that does sound a bit too embarrassing, so I'm not doing it.
なんでやねん。
I was really surprised. I didn't expect such a snappy comeback. This girl might just be a genius.
どうしてそれを？
Huh? What was that reaction just now? I wondered if she was setting up for another punchline, but her expression was serious.
もしかして最初から私の秘密を知ってたんですか？
Secret? I felt like she was misunderstanding me, but I was curious about that secret of hers, so I nodded. Kind of. I don't know the specifics, though.
詳しいことっていうか、前の学校で全教科のテストの点が良すぎてカンニングを疑われて追加で受けた IQ テストの結果が高かったんですよ。その後いろいろあって、この学校から学費も免除するからぜひって声をかけられて、それもいいかなーって。うちは父子家庭なので学費も助かりますし、早く卒業できればその分働けますし。でも本当にものすごい天才とかじゃないので、みんなには秘密にしてたんですけど。
Her previous school, the IQ test, and her family situation were fairly immaterial, but she mentioned something about graduating early? Mulling it over, the one thing I conclude from all that was, you skip grades?
はい、そうですけど。
She nodded her head in affirmation. My own curiosity had unearthed a somewhat unusual secret of hers. Oh, well, can I ask how many grades you skipped?
2年です。
If she's 2 years younger than the rest of the first year class, then Mia's real age would be right around the time when all the boys are incredibly stupid and all the girls are incredibly naive. I see. Her small frame was actually befitting of a girl her age. Her mood swings and shy reckless could be attributed to her lack of life experience, and now she was experiencing a classic case of love at first sight. The gap between her and my fellow second-year students would be enormous, considering the physical and emotional development she still had ahead of her. No wonder my initial impression of her was so ambiguous. I imagine the age difference would factor into her social anxiety as well.
他の人には内緒ですよ。
You got it. Given how other people react to that news, it was definitely a secret to be signed and sealed, but not delivered to anyone else. Well, in any case, you seemed to warm up to me, talking to me well enough.
そうですね。
Even Mio seemed surprised by that as she responded.
先輩はなんだか他の人より話しやすい気がします。
Well, I have a younger sister. Maybe that's why talking to girls comes more naturally to me or something.
お兄ちゃんなんですね。
Sorry, could you say that again?
お兄ちゃんなんですね。
Thank you. Music to my ears. Alright then, I feel like I'm gonna die if I stay in the seat any longer, so let's stop here for today. I wanted to make sure I had everything right, since that conversation got pretty complicated pretty quickly, but I was pretty much about to fry on this roof. I made sure to imprint the image of her panties in my mind one last time before I stood up. I hate this guy. I hate him. Mio stood up and brushed off her skirt. Tonight I'm going to think about a plan of action. I'll let you know what I come with tomorrow.
先輩。
Huh?
ありがとうございます。先輩は関係ないのに変なことに巻き込んでしまって。
It's no big deal. After all, I was the one willing to get myself tangled up in it. I have to say, though, it's nice to hear you thanking me instead of apologizing for once. I lightly bonked her on the head, just because it was the perfect height, and she looked terribly surprised. Shuji's real lucky to have such a precious little diamond fall for him like that. I'd spent so much time dealing with the whole charade that by the time I left school it was getting close to dusk. But I still didn't feel like going home just yet, so I decided to take a stroll along the beach, which was within walking distance of the school building. A confession. Huh?
なんとも妙なことになったの。
Crow floated down to the ground. With the red glow of the sunset illuminating her body, her resemblance to a goldfish was all the more apparent.
童貞を卒業しようと女子探しをしていたお主が他人の恋路の手伝いとはな。
Could you please stop calling me a virgin?
繁殖目的での女子探しか？
That's not what this whole thing is about, Little Miss Subtlety. Maybe I ought to just hurl her watch into the sea.
ではあの女子にどんな下心があるというのだ？
Realizing she was asking me a serious question this time, I grinned back at her. In all seriousness, I thought Mia was pretty courageous to do that, so I wanted to help out. And besides, I lightly patted the watch in my pocket. I have such a powerful ability to rewind time here, but I'm only a student, so it's more power than I know what to do with. So I'm thinking maybe using it to help out other people isn't a bad idea. Not that it would be really cool if I ended up saving the world or something with this much power, though. All the same, helping a friend work through their awakening perception of love was more than enough for me. Crow gave a strange murmur in
ろ
response.
くでもないことにしか時計の力を使わないと思ったが、ついには自分の利益のためですらなくなったか。 どうもお主は今まで我が輩が接したことのある人間とは毛色が違うようだな。
Well, thanks.
褒めてはおらんよ。
Whatever. Just wait till tomorrow. I plan on taking it easy after school today, but then I got caught in the middle of this whole situation. Ultimately, though, it was just a matter of waiting for tomorrow. It was time to go home and sleep on it. What is that, a commercial break? You know what? If it does that, commercial break thing like that, that would be a good time to just end each video, wouldn't it? So I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And I don't know if it keeps doing that commercial break thing, but if it does, that'd be really handy stopping points for me. Thanks for watching. If you watched to the end, appreciate it. Hope this story was interesting to you. It's kind of interesting to me so far. I really hate the protagonist already because, you know, he's freaking checking out panties all the time. He has no virtues other than wanting to help somebody he just met. But yeah, I'll see you next time.